Welcome to Repertoire Wednesday with my dad, Dr. Joel Tranquilla.
Thanks, Everett. Today we're going to take a look at Litany by Jeff Enns, and I'm joined by my good friend Jeff, the man himself, to discuss the music. I've chosen to talk about this piece today because it's a penitential work that fits well in the season of Lent, and that's for all the church musicians out there.
Can you describe a bit of your compositional process? Obviously there's the text, but then how do you begin with a piece like Litany after you have selected the text?
I do probably 95% of my writing at the piano. I can feel like there's a melody or there's chord progressions that should happen and where it should go. If I don't use my hands, kind of find it. It's like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. That's the one. So usually by the time I finished writing it, that was where it was supposed to go. Certain keys do a little bit of sort of color shape with me, not to the point of Messiaen or anything like that. The F sharp minor is very Lenten key, it's burnt orange to me, and it's sort of a very brittle key, like almost like it could just be shattered glass. This sort of has all my trademark kind of things. I mean, I love to stack fifths and stack chords, but I also love big textures and then coming back to unison. And because there's so much power in both. It can be such a magical, quiet unison bit, and then it sort of blooms again.
It just seems like this piece really finds the sweet spot of switching gears between those textures, but also bringing it all sort of together through these various devices. Do you remember hearing the Canadian Chamber Choir sing Litany for the first time?
Yes. It was a tour to Ontario, and the choir came to my church at that time, and everybody's like, F! And they cheered and clapped for me, and then it's like, oh. And Julia had said, can we sing Litany for you? And I was like, yeah, you can. I might have made it to the third bar, and I was just like sobbing, weeping. It was just stunning, and I'd never actually heard the piece.
So this piece is featured on the first CCC album, In Good Company. Am I holding up the right one? Ta-da! What sets Litany apart is the natural delivery of the text, I think, and the vulnerability in several of the lines. When I listen to Jeff Enns' music, I do sense the vulnerability in that, and that's what is really often the most compelling to me, but especially for the sopranos in this piece. And it's those high F sharps which are challenging, and they look perhaps innocent on the page, but it's not easy. So when working on this music, the conductor and the choir need to keep in mind, I would say, the balance and blend of the parts. As the singers move from 8-part chords in measure 10 through 13 to singing in octaves at measure 14. So tricky, but so satisfying when it's done well. And the same thing happens again in measure 23 and 24. And I think you have to take a lot of care with the text. Bathe those feet, cease not.
All my faults and fears. I think that's...
and fears.
Yeah.
So it's the poetry that lends itself to that, but the way that Jeff has said it, we really have to take great care to deliver that text so that it's really understood well, and that we have the chance, we give the audience a chance to really let that text sort of sink in.
My favorite moment in the piece might be the very final gesture, the conclusion that comes on the word tears. It's so important to get the right balance on that last chord.
It's funny, I can often know where I borrowed some little, like one little thing, one little gesture, and that closing chord, I think, was actually from the end of a Dream Theater song. It just sort of kind of grabbed me, just with that ending in that minor key, but then with that G sharp.
This piece is published by Cypress Choral Music and is part of the Canadian Chamber Choir series for accomplished choirs. For details on how to order this music and to check out more great repertoire, be sure to visit cypresschoral.com. The CCC series is one of several great collections curated by outstanding Canadian choral conductors. A huge thanks to the Canadian Chamber Choir composer in residence, Jeff Enns, for joining me. See you next Wednesday for more great Canadian repertoire.
It was like a Blues Brothers moment. Have you seen the light? And I'm like, what light?